In the closing quarters of the simulation, AMP Inc. earned a negative value of approximately $3.2 million in retained earnings and a positive value of approximately $8.8 million. Unfortunately, our company was not able to end with a positive value in retained earnings, but we managed to be within the top 4 computer companies. AMP's largest expenses was in quarter 5 plus quarter 8 as we were trying to change our company around and then prepare for our last quarter with hopes to generate as much revenue as we could. In quarter 5, the majority of the money from our total expenses went to sales office expense, which was about $680,000 as we decided to open up new offices along with research and development for our computers and the new device we created, which was approximately $3.5 million. As the quarters went on, our shipping, inventory, holding costs, and Salesforce expense steadily increased. Reason being is that we wanted to push our products to the fullest extent and use the money wisely to generate a profit. There was no point in having excess money not being used. In quarter 8, we gave out $7,200 in promotions to our employees as they contributed to the success of our business as well. Also, we spent close to $1 million to improve changeover within research and development. And its financial results from quarter 5 to quarter 8 was amazing. We profited about $3.4 million within 3 quarters and turned our operating profit from negative to positive within the same time. The most critical decision that my business partners and I made to make a change for our company in quarter 5 was investing in more research and development. We decided to make our computers have ultra-fast computing power and offering high-speed network. In quarter 6, we made several critical decisions that help shape the success of our business. First, we fixed our failing advertisement and hired more salespeople. This was extremely needed due to our computers not generating as much sales as we expected and not having enough people in each warehouse to keep up with the customers' demands. Our last decision that was very critical was introducing the creation of AMP Portable, which quickly became our most sold computer and generated the most sales revenue of roughly $4.3 million. This was the best thing that AMP Inc. as an entire company has come across, making us the top 3 out of 8 computer companies.
So moving on into slide 4, we begin to talk about the critical decisions we made in Q5 and Q6. So starting out with Q5, this is where we were able to finally invest in R&D features for our computers. With the $5 million investment we got from Sean and Clear, we thought it was best to invest in maybe 2 R&D features to make our computers better. The first thing we invested in was ultra-fast computing power for almost $3 million. We decided it would be best to pay it off over the next 2 quarters, so by Q7 we were able to have it, meaning that each quarter, Q5 and Q6, we would pay $1.5 million to get it. We also invested in high-speed networking power for almost $2 million, which we could pay off by next quarter and could put it into our new computer. We opened up 3 new sales offices, one in Tokyo, Los Angeles, and Paris. By the time we had done all our investing in R&D, advertising, new sales offices, we had an imbalance of $1.5 million going into Q6. So this leads us into Q6. This is where we are able to put the networking high-speed power into our new computer, which we created, AMP Portable, which is fit for the traveler segment. We still needed to fix some of our ads. We didn't meet any requirements for the traveler and innovator segment. So we did a lot of work in there. We hired 12 new salespeople in LA, Paris, and Tokyo. These offices just opened up, so we needed as many people as we could to get in there. So by the time we hired all those people, it costed $875,000. So after we had invested in all of this, we figured it would be best for us to go look at the pro forma accounting to make sure that we still had enough money going into Q7. So by the time we looked at all of that, it said that we would have to take out an emergency loan. And that didn't settle well with any of us. We did not want to have to take out an emergency loan and have to pay it off on top of everything else that we were investing in. So we went back and looked at everything that we could change, and we decided to stop paying for the R&D feature ultra-fast computing power. That was ultimately what was causing us to take out an emergency loan. Although one of our computers did have new R&D feature, we figured it'd be best for us to just start out with that, see how much revenue we can make off of that, and go from there. Moving on into slide 5, we begin to talk about the critical decisions we made in Q7 and Q8. So when we first started out in Q7, we still had top concerns for our ads. We met the requirements for Traveler, however, we still needed to do a little bit of work on our innovator segment. None of the groups in our section had targeted innovators, so we couldn't really compare it to anyone else. So we worked on that. Amp Portable was our top selling computer, and it was doing really good over everyone else's computers. So this leads us into the manufacturing. We increased our fixed capacity from 75 to 100, and with that being said, we also increased our operating capacity to 29. Also in the manufacturing category, we worked on investing in quality improvement. We invested in the hard drive, monitor, and computing power because we felt as though those were the most important out of the 5. That cost us over $100,000, but although we did invest a little bit of money into this meant that our computers might be better than everyone else's. We were ranked 3rd overall in reliability, so with the quality inspection being made, we still could do better than that. So this leads us into Q8. We spent a lot of our time in this section on the manufacturing category. One of the things we hadn't done up until this quarter, through Q1 through Q7, we had not increased our demand per salesperson. It stayed at 50, creating 1,100 total demand, which this was kind of bad. So we finally decided to increase this number since we had increased the number of people we had in sales. We increased our demand per salesperson to 175, creating a total demand of 6,825. So this was a big improvement for us, and we also decided to up our operating capacity to 97. With that being said, we were making a lot more, doing a lot better, so it brought our retained earnings to a positive number. However, we moved on into improving changeover. We invested $900,000. It increased our reduction in time, reduction in cost by a lot. So this made us feel good about ourselves. We thought that we were doing well. However, since we invested so late in this, by the time we got to Q9, we still had a negative retained earnings.
So I'll continue our presentation on slide 6. I'll talk about our top brands and ads for the last quarters, and I'll start with quarter 5. And we actually made a lot of changes to our brands and ads in quarter 4, and this resulted that in 2 of our brands got rated as acceptable by the customer union, the M Pro and the M Performance. And the M Performance was also the 3rd highest ranked innovator brand in North America and Europe, with a rating of 75. And our 3rd brand was actually our best-selling brand, the M Perfection, and the M Perfection could generate almost a profit of $240,000. It's very important to say that all our brands were profitable in quarter 5, and reason for that were the changes to our ads. The AMP Laptops ad was the number one rated ad for the Traveler segment in North America and Europe with a rating of 74, and this ad supported the AMP Perfection, which had the highest sales in that quarter. So you can see that our ads were actually working perfectly together with our brands. And the AMP Laptops ad also got rated as acceptable by the International Advertising Federation for the Traveler segment, and only 2 ads could actually receive that honor to get rated as acceptable in the Traveler segment in that quarter. So I'll continue with quarter 6. In quarter 5, AMP created a masterpiece, which was the M Portable, and the M Portable was the first brand of AMP which included our R&D investment, which was high speed. And the M Portable could get a rating of 81 for the Traveler segment in North America and Europe, and an 82 in Asia, and thereby was also rated as good by the customer union for the Traveler segment. And also very mentionable is that all our demands for our brands almost doubled for all our brands, and reason for that was that AMP again made some changes to our ads, and the Amp It Up was the highest rated innovator ad in 66. And I'll give you an example how this affected the brands. So this ad, the Amp It Up ad, supported the Amp Performance, and the Amp Performance almost tripled their sales in Q6 in London and Chicago. So yeah, that was great. I'll go on to slide 7 now, where I talk about Q7 and Q8 of our top brands and ads. And Q7, the Amp Portable was again Amp's best-selling brand, and it still was the #1 brand of all our 3 sales regions for the traveler segment, with a rating of 79 in North America and Europe, and a rating of 80 in Asia. And it was again rated as good for the traveler segment by the customer union for the 2nd consecutive year. And very mentionable is also that the Amp Performance was ranked as good as #4 in the innovator segment of all the brands, and could receive a rating of 71 in North America and Europe, and a rating of 72 in Asia. Also, Amp was the only company that could receive 3 recognitions by the customer union. And when I talk about 3, Amp was also the only company that could receive 3 recognitions for their ads by the International Advertising Federation, which were the Amp It Up and the Amp Portable for the workhorse segment, and the Amp Laptops brand for the traveler segment. And now we come to Q8, and Q8 was really interesting because in Q8, Amp could actually double the brand sales of all our brands from the previous quarter due to some changes to our brands and ads. And Amp could increase their sales from $4 million to $8.8 million. And very, very mentionable is that the Amp Portable alone could generated a sales profit of $4 million by itself. So again, the Amp Portable was the best brand we ever created, and it also will support us in the future. And the Amp Portable also got rated as good for the 3rd consecutive year by the customer union for the traveler segment, with a rating of 77. Now I'll go on to the next slide number 8, and I'll talk about new strategies for Q9 and beyond for Amp. And Amp actually constantly improved over the last quarters, but Amp still made some major mistakes, and that was reason that we couldn't get our returned earnings positive, and that's our goal for our next quarters, that we actually get the numbers in the green area. And the first really big problem was our marketing area. We did a good job on our ads, but we didn't really hit our target segments. So we have to focus more on the wants and needs by our customers in the traveler and innovator segment, and create ads that really focus on their needs, and thereby we can increase our demand and also hopefully increase our sales. And the second point is our manufacturing. We did a big mistake in Q7, and we lost around $800,000 due to excess capacity, because we set our operating capacity too high. And it was kind of unfortunate, because Amp was usually doing a really good job in setting the operating capacity. But that's why we have to fix that problem ASAP, and really be focused when we work on our manufacturing, and work out the numbers correctly, so we can prevent unnecessary costs and raise our retained earnings. And I'll go on to slide number 9 now, and here are 3 more strategies that we want to focus on for the next quarters. The first one is new R&D investment. So right now Amp is the 3rd company of market share in our markets, which is pretty good, and we want to stay there and even improve. And how we can do that is by getting more unique, investing in new R&D, and showing our customers that we can offer them things that other companies can't, and thereby hopefully get more of the market share, increase our sales again, and get our returned earnings into the positive numbers. The next point is expand the market in Asia. We see Asia as a big potential market region, and the problem is right now that this is our weakest region. But as I said, we see a lot of potential there. There's not much competition, so we want to invest more money in marketing in Asia, and thereby increase the demand and hopefully also increase the sales. Last but not least, we want to keep the upward trend going. As I said, AMP was constantly improving over the last quarters, and if we keep the good work going, we will be in positive numbers very, very soon. We just have to prevent unnecessary mistakes, and I'm pretty sure that we will be the number one company in the microcomputer industry very, very soon.
Looking at our last section of the annual report on slide 10, our lessons learned. We learned a lot through this simulation about running a business. So the first thing that we decided on that we should have done firsthand was in our manufacturing section. We should have constantly been increasing our operating capacity and fixed capacity, allowing more computers to be sold, allowing there to be more revenue coming our way, just more people wanting to buy our computers. So with that being said, also in our manufacturing category, one thing that we noticed we should have done was increase our demand per salesperson. This was also one of the critical decisions that was talked about in Q8. From Q1 to Q7, our demand per salesperson stayed at 50. And we weren't increasing this number at all, no matter how many people we had. We just weren't thinking about it, which was our biggest downfall. By the time we got to Q8, we increased this number to 175, which probably was not the best idea. We should have been gradually increasing this number throughout our time in the simulation. But once we increased this number in Q8 to 175, we finally had a positive retained earnings of 600,000. This isn't a big number, but for us being negative throughout most of the time, it made us feel pretty good. We wanted this number to be positive for so long, and we're doing everything we could, but we just waited last minute to increase this number when we should have started increasing this number in Q4. Another thing that we learned was that we probably should have been opening up sales office each quarter. We should have wanted to make a presence across the globe, or at least trying to dominate one area like our competitors were. And lastly, we did not invest in quality improvement and improving changeover until the last minute. If we would have invested in all of this firsthand, our computers probably would have been more reliable. We would have been able to just be better. When we improved changeover in Q8, it increased our percentage in reduction in time and reduction in cost. So if we would have at least invested 100,000 each quarter into this, we would have done a lot better. People would have wanted to buy our computers. We would have appealed more to people in the traveler and innovator segment because our computers would have been reliable. However, all of these were downfalls to us and to why we were not profitable. Manufacturing seriously hurt our company, and if we would have invested in all of these things sooner, we might have been profitable and could have done a lot better, and maybe we would have come in first place. But however, we have learned a lot in running a business, the ins and outs of it, more about the finances, manufacturing, things like that. So the simulation has completely helped us in understanding more about a business.